Hey guys, it's Stu. Another inbox review, but this time of a little rarity of Tamiya's. It's the Type 97 Chi infantry support tank. It's the most widely well-known Japanese tank of the Second World War. It basically entered service in 1934 and was primarily designed basically as infantry support for all the Japanese regiments. It was used throughout the Pacific Theatre. Not only that, before the Second World War, out in the Far East, when they had the war with China, and over 3,000 of them were produced. So it basically stemmed from operation in 1934 right up until the end of the Pacific War in 1945. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look and see what's inside the box. First off, you've got the lovely illustration on the front of the box, which is normally the case with Tamiya kits. And as you can see, because it's a Japanese import, there is the writing in Japanese interpretation as well. On the side of the box, you've got an illustration of the actual tank, along with a colour guide as to what all the colours are with this rather interesting camo scheme. Unfortunately, all the writing is in Japanese because obviously this is a Japanese import, and then you've got a picture of the actual figure of the tank commander himself. Okay, I actually sourced this kit off eBay, and in case you want to look up and see if there's any more available, the kit number is 35075/1900. Okay, right, let's have a look and see what's inside here. As is always the case with Tamiya, you've got the familiar instruction sheet with the illustration of the box art, then a very in-depth history of the actual vehicle itself, and a photograph, an archive photo of the Chi itself as well, and more archive photos which you can use as reference if you so wish. And here's a lovely one of the tank training school. Okay. First off, you've got the sprue tree guide, so that you can check that all the components of the kit are there inside the box. First process, as we normally do with our armoured tanks, is the assembly of the running gear. Moving on is the assembly of suspension arms, etc., onto the main lower hull of the vehicle, as well as the side plates. And then the assembly of the tow rope on the back of the vehicle, which you attach to the lower hull, and obviously the assembly of the actual running gear itself. Obviously I will leave this till last, as most of us armour modelers do. Okay. Here's a slight guide as to how the running gear should be laying. Okay, as a sort of guide. And then here is the upper hull where you assemble all the hatches, as well as the stowage and tools. Okay. To the side you've got an illustration of the actually completed kit with a camo scheme, which is not rather interesting. Down beneath it is a colour guide to the two crew figures, the driver and the tank commander. I'm not sure if they only had 3 in the actual side of the tank, but I may be mistaken. Then you've got the assembly of the actual exhaust shrouds and the jack to the vehicle on the upper hull. And then there's the assembly of what is the engine compartment, as well as lower hatches to actually vacate the crew figure, or the driver, i.e. the driver, and gun. Then the assembly of the barrel to the rather small turret of the vehicle. Okay, and this is just an illustration of how it will finally look. Okay, again here you've got a guide as to the tracks of how to put them together. I don't think I will be using them, to be honest with you. I probably may well source aftermarket tracks for this. Then you've got the assembly of the cupola. And I don't know what this bar is around, whether it was the radio area or it might have been, I don't know. And then that's attached to the turret, and then obviously you've got the final assembly of the upper hull to the lower hull, as well as the assembly of the turret to the hull. Okay. Also, you've got a colour guide, which you can see here with the colour callouts, and as you can see, again, you can match this up with Tamiya or any other paints on the app that I've previously mentioned in previous videos. Now, I'm not quite sure about this camo scheme. I might well hand paint it, maybe put on the base colour with an airbrush and then hand paint the rest, but I'll see. And it's got all three views, so you've got some good source records there, and then obviously you've got an illustration of the actual tank itself when it's completed. Okay, and then this is the various decal options that you can do. You've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about half a dozen of all the various tank regiments, and including a tank training school. Okay. Right, so that's the instructions. Let's look at the most interesting part, which is the actual kit itself. Right, as you can see, you've got the familiar horrible plastic Tamiya tracks. I'm hoping I'm not going to have to use them. I don't like them at all because they don't hold the paint well and they look tight, which is false because there is supposed to be some actual track sag on the vehicle. So I won't be using them. Then you've got the lower hull, which you can see has got very good detail, very nice, very crisp, no flash whatsoever. Okay, this is the turret, which you can see here. Again, very crisp, no flash whatsoever, lovely riveting detail, and they've even got some weld seams on there, which is very, very nice and will come out lovely with a wash. Right, then you've got the upper hull, which I'm not going to take out of the bag because I don't want to damage it. Again, you've got a lovely sharp detail there, especially on the grills, so if you want to add any engine detail you can do so. Just give it that little bit of extra detail. And then you've got two other sprues. This is the actual running gear, which you can see here. Lovely and sharp again. And that will bed down with a nice lovely wash. Okay, then underneath that you've got all the suspension arms and the suspension springs, which again will come out lovely with a little lovely touch, but it's the only part of the kit that I can see on these springs where you've got a little bit of flash. Okay, again, that's the back plate, rather lovely detail with the rivets, and there's the suspension arms, and then you've got the machine gun, which is a nice lovely little touch. Again, try brush that with a little bit of a pencil, that'll come out really well. Okay, and then you've got the grills here for the engine compartment, beautifully in scale, and also the exhaust manifolds. Okay, final part of the kit, as you can see, is the side plates and the tank driver's compartment where the machine gun goes. Really lovely and sharp, and that's the part of the actual cupola. Then you've got the hatches and the radio aerial, and even the figures, I have to say, nice and sharp. If I can only get them to focus, there we go. This is the driver, lovely detail on there. And again the commander, really nice. So that is basically the kit. Okay, and then you've obviously got the set of decals on the various options. Now, to be honest with you, it's hit and miss with these decals. Some will go on lovely, others will go on and then you end up getting film on them. I personally might see if I can source some aftermarket decals so that they bed down beautifully. Okay, and then obviously you've got the plugs for the wheel sets. Okay, that in all is the Chi tank. Lovely neat little kit. I don't think it's going to take all that long to build, but I would certainly recommend it if you can get hold of one. Okay, so that is basically that. It's an unusual subject, one I didn't think Tamiya did, and when I saw it I just had to snap it up because there's very few Japanese tanks available on the market, and this is going to be a much wanted and much, well, let's just say it's going to be one that's going to be essential to my collection. I might even do a little diorama with it. Okay, anyway, hope you enjoyed the review. That's it for now, and as always, get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I'll see you on the next video.